Prophecy for Edgar Lungu's family in Zambia. ECP still a factor in death? Tonight, Zambia is buzzing. A new prophecy has emerged, one touching President Hakainde Hichilema, the Lungu family, and even the strange, controversial question, is ECP still a factor in Edgar Lungu's death? Prophecies in Zambia aren't new, but this one is different. It connects past events, unresolved questions, political transitions, and a spiritual warning that has sparked fierce debate. Stay with me for the next few minutes as we break down what was said, why it matters, and how it could influence Zambia's political and spiritual landscape. Good day, viewers. Welcome to another edition of InspirAfrica Official. I'm Nakash. What a week it's been here in Southern Africa, my friends. The winds of change continue to blow across our continent, carrying with them stories that would seem impossible if they weren't unfolding before our very eyes. Today, we delve into a story that has captivated Zambia and sent shockwaves across the entire African continent. A story of prophecy, political intrigue, and a death that has divided a nation. Imagine this: a former president, once the most powerful man in his nation, denied medical treatment in his own country. Forced to flee like a fugitive across borders just to seek healthcare. Those who helped him? Fired. Dismissed. Made examples of. But here's where it gets stranger, where the spiritual collides with the political, where prophecy meets mortality. What if I told you that multiple prophets had foreseen this man's death? That spiritual declarations were made months before his passing, warnings issued from pulpits and posted on social media for the world to see? What happens when a prophet claims to have predicted a president's death and then it comes to pass exactly as foretold? Was it divine revelation or political calculation? Coincidence or supernatural insight? And now, in death, the questions multiply. Can a deceased leader still influence an election? Can a corpse become a campaign tool? Can a burial site become a battleground for political legitimacy? Why would a government fight tooth and nail to bring home a body when that same government allegedly denied the living man medical care? Why would a family refuse a state funeral, choosing instead to bury their father in a foreign land? What secrets lie beneath the surface of this political earthquake? And most haunting of all, could Edgar Lungu, even from beyond the grave, determine the fate of Zambia's 2026 elections? This latest prophecy is stirring national debate because it mentions three sensitive subjects: President Hichilema, Edgar Lungu's grieving family, and the lingering mystery of the ECP movement and whether it still plays a role in Zambia's recent tragedies. In this video, we break down exactly what the prophecy says, what analysts think, how citizens are reacting, and why this conversation is resurfacing right now. Factual foundation, background and timeline. The revelation came to light in the most modern of ways, through social media, through TikTok videos, through prophetic declarations that went viral long before their subject drew his final breath. Let's establish the facts. Edgar Lungu, born November 11, 1956, served as Zambia's sixth president from January 2015 to August 2021. A lawyer by training, he ascended to power following President Michael Satta's death in 2014, winning a special election in January 2015. He won again in 2016, narrowly defeating his opponent, a businessman and economist named Hakainde Hichilema. But in August 2021, everything changed. In what was described as a landslide victory, Hichilema, affectionately known as HH or Bali by his supporters, defeated Lungu with 59% of the vote, almost 1 million votes more than the incumbent. Lungu conceded. Democracy, it seemed, had prevailed. Lungu announced his retirement from politics. His acting vice president, Given Labinda, took over leadership of the Patriotic Front Party. For a while, Zambia moved on. But in October 2023, Edgar Lungu did something that would set in motion a chain of events leading to his death. He announced his return to active politics. He reclaimed leadership of the Patriotic Front. He positioned himself as a challenger to President Hichilema in the 2026 elections. The government's response was swift and severe. In December 2024, the Constitutional Court ruled that Lungu was ineligible to run for president again. The court argued that his partial term from 2015 to 2016 counted as a full term, meaning he had already served the constitutional maximum of 2 terms. Lungu's supporters called it a political assassination, not with bullets, but with legal judgments. Then came the restrictions. According to multiple sources, Lungu was denied permission to travel abroad for medical treatment. An airport manager was reportedly fired for not searching the former president when he attempted to leave the country. His morning jogs, a routine he'd maintained for years, were banned. His family members would later claim he was denied medical care 3 separate times. In early 2025, Lungu's health deteriorated. Despite government denials and delays, he managed to travel to South Africa for specialized treatment at Mediclinic Medforum Hospital in Pretoria. He went not as a dignitary, but allegedly slipping out like a fugitive, stripped of the dignity his former office should have afforded him. On the morning of June 5, 2025, at 68 years old, Edgar Lungu died. The official cause was listed as cardiac complications during surgery, though he had been receiving treatment for an undisclosed illness, with some reports suggesting cancer and complications from achalasia, a rare esophageal disorder he'd battled for years. But his death was just the beginning of the controversy. Direct evidence, quotes and testimony. The prophecies. Before we examine the political fallout, we must address the elephant in the room, or perhaps more accurately, the prophet on TikTok. Prophet Abel Tamyanamana Boma, a Nigerian cleric with a substantial following on social media, had been making declarations about Zambia's political future for months, even years. After Lungu's death, one of his videos resurfaced with eerie timing. The caption read, "Prophecy fulfilled, former Zambian President Edgar Lungu dies at 68, just as was foretold by Prophet Abel T. Boma." In the video, Prophet Boma declares, "This is more than just breaking news, it is a confirmation of divine insight and a call for nations and leaders to take heed." But there were other spiritual voices in this drama. Another self-proclaimed prophet sparked controversy after Lungu's death with an even more specific and bizarre claim. In a dramatic video statement that went viral, this unnamed seer warned, "So it's very important that I share with you what I saw. Those of you that follow me, not jealously, those of you that follow me know that anything I say happens, any prophecy that I give happens. There is a plan. In fact, a grave is already being dug for Edgar Lungu in Zimbabwe, making it the 3rd grave." He continued, "There is a plan to have a secret burial for President Lungu. Remove him from South Africa. In fact, as I'm speaking right now, the deal has already been concluded. Remove him from South Africa. Take him secretly to Zimbabwe and bury him." The prophet grew more emphatic, "Please, don't take Edgar Lungu to Zimbabwe to bury him. The government of Zimbabwe, we are watching. I've given this prophecy and everyone is watching." Then came the spiritual warning, "Once you bury Lungu in Zimbabwe or South Africa, his spirit will not rest in peace. His spirit will come after the family. His spirit is roaming all around the place. His spirit is not resting. His ancestors are waiting for him. They are calling him. But you want to bury him and dash him off to another people's ancestors." Even more intriguing was another prophecy from Nigerian prophet Joshua Iginla, who had previously claimed to have prophesied Hichilema's 2021 election victory. Speaking during a church service after Lungu's death, Prophet Iginla made this declaration. Late former President Edgar Lungu, who died on June 5, 2025, will still be a factor in next year's Zambia general election. I didn't say Lungu was a David, but insists a David is coming. Hichilema was like a Saul in the Bible. When the David comes, Zambians will know. The family's testimony. The announcement of Lungu's death came from his daughter, Tassila Lungu Mwansa, herself a member of parliament. In a somber video shared on the Patriotic Front's Facebook page, tears barely held back, she said, "I wish to inform the nation and the world at large that our beloved father, husband and leader, His Excellency Edgar Lungu, the 6th President of the Republic of Zambia, has passed away. He died peacefully this morning while receiving treatment in Pretoria. But peace was the last thing that would follow. The political accusations." At a memorial service live-streamed to Zambian homes, Patriotic Front acting president Given Labinda delivered an emotionally charged eulogy that was less remembrance and more accusation. Why was he not allowed to seek medical attention? God, tell us why. Why? Tell me why. Why? Even in death, he was treated differently. Lubinda's voice cracked with emotion, or perhaps calculated political theater, as he continued, why wasn't his death announced by the government, like those of other presidents? It took more than 48 hours for a government official to declare 7 days of national mourning. Is this how deeply rooted hate can be? Then came the devastating claim, 3 times denying a former president access to medication. That is what happened to the man. The spirit of Edgar Lungu is not dead. Patriotic Front Secretary General Raphael Nakasinda went even further in a media briefing in Johannesburg, revealing, medical staff at the hospital that treated President Lungu say they have been threatened by Zambian government officials who wanted to remove and repatriate the president's body to Zambia without the family's consent or knowledge. Nakasinda added accusations of something even darker, with the cause of Lungu's death yet to be officially confirmed. Speculation is growing that he may have been deliberately poisoned. The PF is calling for an independent international investigation into the circumstances surrounding his death. The government's response. President Hichilema's initial statement was notably brief, what one Zambian commentator described as cold, distant, and sterile. A Yango driver in Lusaka captured the public mood. The president might as well have sent a voice note on WhatsApp. Next time, he doesn't need to keep the whole nation waiting in front of their TVs to say so little. Secretary to Cabinet Patrick Kangwa issued formal statements about funeral arrangements, speaking in the careful, measured tones of bureaucracy. The body of the late 6th president will lie in state at the Mulungushi International Conference Center from Thursday, 19th to Saturday, June 21, 2025, from 9 o'clock hours to 1600 hours. But those arrangements would never come to pass. The burial standoff. On June 20, 2025, the Lungu family made their position clear. Spokesman Makibi Zulu stated, the funeral and burial will take place here in South Africa, in accordance with the family's wishes for a private ceremony. The Lungu family continues to seek peace and unity amongst fellow Zambians during this time. The family thanked the South African government for its non-interference and respect of the rights of the family. It was a direct rebuke to Zambia's government, and it worked. President Hichilema cut short the extended period of national mourning. The government moved from grieving to litigation. On June 24, 2025, the government of Zambia filed emergency legal proceedings in South Africa's High Court to halt the private burial. Zambia's Attorney General Mololo Kabesha told the media, he's not a refugee. The Zambian government wanted a state funeral for Lungu to ensure that all Zambian citizens can pay their respects in a dignified and appropriate way. The hearing took place on the very day Lungu's funeral was scheduled, family members arriving at the Pretoria courthouse dressed in black funeral attire, forced to delay their appearance at the burial to defend their decision in court. On August 8, 2025, the South African court ruled in favor of the Zambian government. Lungu's sister, Bertha Lungu, was photographed in tears after the judgment. The Patriotic Front immediately announced, the family has filed an appeal against the judgment. As of this recording, Edgar Lungu remains unburied, his body frozen in a South African morgue, a political football in death just as he had become in his final years of life. Deeper analysis, implications and reactions. The political context. To understand this saga, we must examine what happened between Lungu's electoral defeat in 2021 and his death in 2025. According to multiple reports, life after the presidency was not kind to Edgar Lungu. His wife, Esther Lungu, and children were charged with corruption and possession of suspected proceeds of crime. His daughter Tassila was arrested in February 2025 on money laundering charges. She had previously been detained alongside her mother and sister on fraud charges in 2024. The family consistently claimed this was political persecution, a vendetta by the Hichilema government. The government maintained it was simply pursuing justice and fighting corruption. When Lungu returned to politics in October 2023, his presidential benefits were immediately suspended under the Benefits of Former Presidents Act. The law is clear, former presidents who return to active politics forfeit their entitlements. But the timing and manner of enforcement felt, to many Zambians, less like legal procedure and more like political punishment. The medical care controversy. The most damning accusations center on medical care, or the alleged denial of it. political commentator Kapya Kaoma wrote a scathing op-ed titled Mourning with Fire, stating, "The chilling revelation that former President Edgar Lungu was repeatedly denied permission to travel abroad for urgent medical care even when he offered to pay from his own pocket is nothing short of morally outrageous. That he had to slip out of the country like a fugitive, stripped of the dignity befitting his former office, and that those who assisted him were swiftly fired, raises a sobering question: what kind of politics are we practicing?" Kaoma continued, "The government claimed there was no money to support President Lungu's treatment. Yet there's always money, plenty of it, for endless foreign trips, bloated entourages, and the maintenance of 2 presidential residences for Mr. Hichilema. The government denies these allegations." Supporters of President Hichilema point out that the Patriotic Front initially denied Lungu was even sick. How, they ask, can you simultaneously claim a man is healthy and demand medical treatment for him? Others note the hypocrisy. Did the PF not deny that Lungu was sick? How can you not be sick but at the same time want to travel for medical treatment abroad? That brings suspicion. The vindictive cycle. What's undeniable is the pattern. Zambia has a well-documented history of incoming presidents persecuting their predecessors. Frederick Chiluba harassed Kenneth Kaunda, Zambia's founding president. Levi Mwanawasa prosecuted his benefactor, Chiluba. Michael Sata's PF ill-treated Rupiah Banda. And now, allegations that Hichilema's UPND mistreated Lungu. One Zambian analyst wrote, "Just why such vindictiveness and blatant abuse of power seems to gratify incumbents is hard to fathom." In the absence of reason, one might well speculate that this show of brutality is all about a naked flexing of political immaturity. The prophecy question. But what about the prophecies? Were they genuine divine revelation or political theater? Prophet Abel Boma has a track record of making prophecies about African political events. Some have come to pass, others have not. His supporters point to his prophecy about Hichilema's 2021 victory. His critics note that calling for the victory of a popular opposition candidate leading in the polls is hardly supernatural insight. The prophecy about Lungu's burial in Zimbabwe has not come to pass, at least not yet. The body remains in South Africa, caught in legal limbo. Prophet Joshua Ginla's claim that Lungu will remain a factor in 2026 elections despite being dead is perhaps the most interesting. Is this prophecy, or just political analysis? History shows that martyred leaders often become more powerful in death than in life. Their failures are forgotten, their struggles are remembered as persecution. The martyrdom effect. And this brings us to the heart of the matter: Edgar Lungu has indeed become a political martyr. One political observer noted, whichever way one looks at this, the Lungu family's decision to inter his remains in South Africa is a political masterstroke. The likelihood of Lungu's ghost looming over HH's quest for a second term is haunting the UPND. Curiously, how Lungu has suddenly become a political martyr baffles the mind. The same author continued, during his presidency, Lungu oversaw significant infrastructure projects. Yet it was under his reign that Zambia became the first country to default on debt servicing during the COVID era. His opponents argued he was ruthless, intolerant, authoritarian. He deposited then-opposition leader HH into prison on trumped-up charges, the gravest of which saw HH spend more than 100 days in solitary confinement. Yet in death, these facts are fading. What remains is the narrative of a man allegedly denied medical care, persecuted for wanting to return to politics, whose family was targeted with corruption charges, who died in exile. The 2026 implications. So is ECP Edgar Lungu still a factor in Zambian politics? The answer, remarkably, is yes. President Hichilema faces a difficult election in 2026. The economic hardships in Zambia are real: power outages, high cost of living, inflation squeezing small businesses. The opposition now has a martyr to rally around, even if that martyr cannot himself appear on the ballot. The Patriotic Front, despite internal divisions, has a powerful narrative: their leader was persecuted to death. Every campaign rally can become a memorial service. Every political speech can reference the man who was denied medical care 3 times. Every attack from the government can be framed as proof of continuing persecution. As one prophet declared, whether through divine insight or political savvy, Edgar Lungu will indeed be a factor in the 2026 elections. Not as a candidate, but as a ghost haunting the incumbent, a symbol of opposition grievances, a rallying cry for change. So there you have it, viewers. A story that defies easy categorization. Is it prophecy fulfilled or political calculation? Divine warning or human manipulation? Justice or persecution? Perhaps it is all of these things at once, a reminder that in African politics, the spiritual and the political are never fully separate. Prophecies shape political narratives. Political actors claim divine mandate. And sometimes, the line between prediction and self-fulfilling prophecy disappears entirely. What's certain is this: the death of Edgar Chagwa Lungu has not ended his political influence. If anything, it has amplified it. His burial remains unresolved. His family remains at war with the government. His party remains mobilized. And Zambia remains divided. As we head toward the 2026 elections, we will be watching closely. Will the prophecies of a political comeback be fulfilled? Will the ruling party overcome the ghost of their predecessor? Will Zambia break its cycle of presidential persecution? Or will history simply repeat itself once again? Thank you for watching this edition of InspirAfrica Official. This is a story we'll continue to follow, and I invite you to join the conversation in the comments below. What do you make of the prophecies? Do you believe Edgar Lungu was persecuted, or was the government simply applying the law? And can a deceased leader truly influence an election from beyond the grave? Share your thoughts. Engage respectfully. And remember, in Africa, the political and the spiritual walk hand in hand, whether we acknowledge it or not. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories from across our incredible continent. Until then, I'm Nakash, reminding you to stay informed, stay engaged, and never stop questioning.